Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, and welcome to all of you in today's lecture. As you know from the previous last two lectures, I've started a series of lecture on antibacterial agents. In the very first lecture, I've given you a sort of a basic intro what the antibacterial agents are. I've told you that those pharmaceutical products, drugs which act against bacteria, we call them antibacterial agents. The pharmaceutical products, the drugs which acts against bacteria, they have their different mode of action. Few drugs do acts as anti-metabolites, mean they inhibit the synthesis of certain important metabolic products in bacterial cells. Once those drugs inhibit the synthesis of metabolites, the drugs will call as antimetabolites, and those antimetabolites will be able to inhibit the bacterial sustainability of the cells, bacterial growth. Similarly, some of the pharmaceutical products could act against bacteria by inhibiting their cell wall synthesis. We have an idea the bacterial cell do have cell wall. So certain antibacterial agents target cell wall synthesis, and certain antibacterial agents target synthesis of certain metabolites. The example was the sulfonamides, and I've given you a detailed lecture on what the sulfonamides are, how they do act against bacteria, how they act as antimetabolites, what is their mode of action, what is the requirement of their structures, what is their SAR, structure activity relationship. So moving on, today I'm going to explain about tetracyclines. We do have an idea that tetracyclines are a major class of antibacterial agents as well. They act against bacteria, they are antibacterial agents, and their mode of action is that they block the synthesis of proteins. The tetracyclines actually they inhibit protein synthesis. Protein synthesis inside the bacterial cells. So they are antibacterial agents which inhibit protein synthesis. Tetracyclines. Okay, what they actually are? The structure of tetracyclines looks like this one. The drug carries 4 rings. We may call them A, B, C and D rings. Tetracycline carries 4 rings in its structure. And if we talk about its SAR, SAR means structure activity relationship. Structure activity relationship. So tetracyclines are supposed to carry, number one, for the SAR is supposed to be the drug should carry 4 rings, A, B, C, D rings. Every ring is the requirement for the drug to show its activity. If any tetracycline which has 3 rings, 2 rings, such tetracycline are supposed to be inactive against bacteria. For a tetracycline based drug, the drug is supposed to carry at least 4 rings, not less than 4 rings are not the requirement of tetracycline drugs. Number second requirement, and the presence of amide. The presence of amide, at carbon 2, carbon number 2. You can see carbon number 1, carbon number 2. This amide functionality, the presence of amide functionality at carbon number 2 is the very much requirement for tetracycline to show their antibacterial activity, you know. Number 3 requirement is supposed to be, we can call, you know, if we marks the numbers, the carbon 1, 2, 3 and 4, this is supposed to be a 4A. Similarly, if we keep on moving, this is 12 and this is 12A. The 4A and the 12A, these asymmetrical configurations, the asymmetrical configurations at C4A and 12A, you know, C12A, that are very much required for a tetracycline to show its antibacterial nature, you know. So these are 2-3 different basic requirement of a tetracycline drug. Such structural requirement as a necessary for their antibacterial activity. Number 1 is the drug should carry at least 4 rings. Okay, that's why they are called tetracyclines. Tetracycles are required. A drug having 3 rings, 2 rings, they are supposed to be inactive against bacteria. Similarly, presence of amide, that is very much necessary at the carbon number 2 for antibacterial activity, you know. And the number 3, the asymmetrical configurations at C4 and C4A and C12A, you know, that is very much a requirement. You can't change the asymmetrical configurations over here. However, the symmetrical configuration in 5 and 6 position, one can alter to produce a new variety of tetracyclines, no problems. They won't affect that much affect the activity of the tetracycline. However, the asymmetric configuration in 4A and 12A, you are not going to change those if you are interested to design a tetracycline with antibacterial agents. Okay, so this is a basic about the SAR of the tetracycline, mean basic structural requirement of the drug so that it can show its antibacterial activity. Now, what is the mechanism of action? How tetracyclines do act as antibacterial agents? To explain that one now, at this point now, you know. We have an idea. The ribosomes are the organelles, are the sites which are responsible for the protein synthesis. Ribosomes, they are the sites responsible for the protein synthesis. In bacteria, there are also the ribosomes which are responsible for the protein synthesis. So, if the tetracyclines are to act as the inhibitors of protein synthesis, means they are going to interact with the ribosomes, means they are going to block the sites of ribosomes so that they can block the synthesis of the proteins, you know. We have an idea in bacterial cells. The ribosomes are supposed to be, one can say of one is of 50s Svedberg units, the other one, the smaller portion fragment, is supposed to be of the 30s. As a whole, the ribosome is supposed to be of 70s, you know. In bacteria, the ribosomes do carry 2 parts. The one is of 50s, the other one is of 30s, you know. So the part which carries, you know, 30s part over here the 30th part, you know, the ribosomal 30th part, it carries certain sites, you know, something like this. I'm just trying to represent some sites are available here where mRNAs do come and they make contact on these sites. mRNAs, messenger RNAs, they do come in contact with those sites on 30S ribosomal part, and they do facilitate the synthesis of proteins, you know. What happens then before the approach of the mRNAs? These sites which are responsible for the attachment of the RNAs, and then they actually help to produce, help to synthesize the proteins, they are blocked by the tetracyclines. You can say the tetra TCs, I can see like that. The tetracycline actually comes and blocks this site on RNA, on ribosome actually. The ribosomal part which has the capacity to make interaction with the mRNAs, and then finally they execute the protein synthesis, you know. Once the tetracycline is administered to the human beings, those tetracyclic drug molecules have the ability to block the site of the attachment of RNAs, mRNAs, you know, on 30th part of the ribosomes. And what happens then? Once this site is blocked by the tetracyclines, the mRNAs, which are messenger RNAs, which will bring the message to the ribosomes for the preparation for the production of proteins, they won't be able to make their contacts. Once they are unable to make the contacts with the ribosomes, so protein synthesis will be blocked. Okay, the protein synthesis will be blocked because the sites for the attachments of mRNAs have been blocked by the tetracyclines. So once the tetracyclines have blocked the sites of the mRNAs, so mRNAs won't be able to make their contacts with the ribosomes. Once the ribosomes are unable to get the attachment, so the message will not be delivered to the ribosomes for the production, for the synthesis of the proteins. This is how the protein synthesis will be blocked in the bacterial cells, you know, will be blocked in, I would say, bacterial cell, you know. We have an idea the ribosomes are also present in human beings, in human body, in animals as well, you know. Over there they are also responsible for the protein synthesis. So why not the tetracycline do interact with the ribosomes, human ribosomes, with the animal ribosomes, and why they don't block the protein productions over there as well? So the answer is pretty simple. In human beings, in higher animals, you know, the ribosomes are made from two units. It is supposed to be of 60s, the smaller is supposed to be 40s, you know. The ribosomes are made from two fragments, one is of 60s and the other one is of the 40s. So there is a difference. In bacteria, this unit which is blocked by tetracycline is of 30s. In human beings, in animals, it is of 40s. So it's a big distinction, big difference, you know. So that is why the tetracyclines do interact with the 30s parts of the ribosomes. So they specifically, they selectively attack on bacterial ribosomes, and they do not attack on the human or animals ribosomes, you know, and they don't block the protein synthesis over there. So this is how, this is just a basic introduction, basic introduction about the tetracyclines, what they are actually. They are the drugs with 4 cyclic, you know, cycles, and they are supposed to carry amide functional, the carbon number 2, and the asymmetric configurations at 4A and 12A, that is supposed to be unchanged, unaltered. However, at R5, at R6 and R7 positions, people have tried to attach different substituents, and they have produced a variety of a diverse class of tetracyclines, have showing different, a broad spectrum of their activities, So these are the basic points about the tetracycline. What the tetracycline are, how do they act against the bacteria by blocking the proteins, and what is actually the structure active relationship of the tetracycline. I've tried to explain to you in a bit brief way. I hope you got the idea. If you do have any question, please don't hesitate to contact me. I will be happy to answer your question at the earliest possible. Thank you very much for your kind attentions. Assalamu alaikum.